Hey, I'm Jeremy. Welcome back to Rugby Informer. Just looking at the two games this past weekend between the Wallabies and England, as well as Ireland and the All Blacks. You know, the last year or so, the rugby world's been giving a lot of grief to the Wallabies following their decline after the World Cup and their struggles they've been dealing with over the last year. But credit has to be given to the Wallabies for going for the throat against England and winning the game in the dying moments. Something that other teams seem to be struggling to do over the last couple of weeks. We've seen in the Autumn Nations series, especially with England and the All Blacks last week, where England was kind of in control most of that game. You know, it was a little bit of an arm wrestle, but England actually had the opportunity to win that game and kind of was passive in the later stages of the game, simply opting for a potential drop goal, which they ended up missing, taking their foot off the gas in the latter stages and conceding tries. And I think just we mentioned in a previous video, but this attitude of always trying to sneak through that win or close out the game in the tightest of margins rather than putting your foot on the throat and finishing some teams. We saw this again with Ireland up against the All Blacks on Friday night. There was potential for them earlier in the game to kind of take control of it. There was a few moments when the momentum swung in their favor, but the All Blacks kind of started to take over that game towards the latter stages of it. But one thing that was interesting, I think it was the 78th or 77th or 79th minute. Ireland still down 10 points. The game's kind of all but done. And Hugo Keenan and the other backs in the Irish team are kicking the ball back to the All Blacks. I don't really understand the point of that. This is not a series. This is not a multitude of games where you've got to earn your points and hopefully still seal a potential series or a set of matches. This is a once-off game once a year. And just this kind of, I don't want to say a defeatist attitude, but kind of throwing in the towel and kicking the ball back to the opposition who's simply going to carry it up once or twice and then kick it out. Why not run it? You're going to lose the game. At least try lose by 3 points rather than 10. So I don't really know. Maybe it's more about the bigger picture for some of these coaches and securing a win rather than playing a high-risk finale of a game and ending up conceding another try. But in my mind, I think at that level, at that stage, why not go for a try and at least close the margin and give your fans something to cheer about? And you saw the same thing again with England and Australia. England were kind of in a position to win that game. They struggled through that game, to be fair. I think they were trying to keep it as tight and controlled and structured as possible, going from set piece to set piece. And the Wallabies just did not want that to happen. They were throwing it around, throwing some pretty wild, ambitious passes that were sticking, switches, offloads, everything you can imagine. Joseph Suaalii had a fantastic debut. I thought he was a guy who maybe wasn't going to adapt very well, especially to that 13 position. I watch a lot of NRL and keep tabs on the Sydney Roosters. He's an incredible talent, but I thought he might struggle a little bit, and he just slotted in there as if he's been playing Test rugby for the last 2 years. He was fantastic with offloads, little basketball passes over the top, and fitted this Australian loosey-goosey game plan excellently. They were just keeping the English guessing the whole game, and even when it looked like England had it in the bag and managed to survive this onslaught of crazy Australian rugby, I love how Australia just put the hammer down and went for a try at the end, and it paid off massively. It was a high-risk phase of passing, some offloads, little pops to forwards out the back, and then suddenly Jorgensen got in some space and ended up scoring, and it ended up winning them the game and meant, I think, a lot for Australian rugby that could potentially swing some confidence in their favor and change the trajectory of what Australian rugby is going to do. We're not going to over-exaggerate that win, but for them, I think, for what they've been through, that was quite a watershed moment, and all it took was a little bit of ambition, a little bit of excitement, and just having the confidence to go for a try rather than settling with a 3-point margin. And they showed that little bit of old Wallaby spirit where they just never say die, and they managed to come back in the second half. And it was really cool to see from a South African perspective. I think everyone wants the Wallabies to be good. You want those Bledisloe matches to be good once again, and you want Australia and South Africa to have a fantastic rivalry. I salute the Wallabies for what they did. Go for the try, go for glory, and sometimes it pays off in the best of ways. What did you think of the game? Do you think more teams should go for the throat in the latter stages and go for that try and play that ambitious rugby rather than hoping for a little penalty to maybe win a game? I think teams should back their abilities, back their skills, and the Wallabies did just that. So thanks for checking out the video. Please hit like, please hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.